And now, part 2 of Carnival Personnel's Sideshow game shows.
Richard Dawson is just, he's it for me. I mean, as a kid, just watching that thinking, there's a role model.
Right. Well, I mean, you saw, now, did you see Family Feud first, or did you see Hogan's Heroes first?
In my case, it was Hogan's Heroes first because, episode 4, Daddy Issues. That was one of the few things that in between beating us, my father let us watch.
So you and him bonded over a concentration camp.
Yeah,
well, it wasn't a concentration camp, was it?
Prison war camp.
Prison war camp. Okay,
it's like completely different.
Right.
Remember how fun those Nazis used to be?
Okay.
No, hey, there were fine people and both. But with that, it's like, yeah. But I think even as a kid, I'm thinking, Is that okay? Can he just do that?
Right. Oh yeah. You're talking about Richard Dawson kissing contestants.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you just put your tongue down Mom's throat, and then Grandma's throat, and then the daughter's. It's like.
Well, there's a lot of loving given from Richard Dawson. God rest his soul.
Yeah, I mean, Richard Dawson.
Am I wrong, or did he smoke during every episode?
No, you are wrong. So he smoked on Match Game.
Oh.
So he rose to fame on Match Game as a panelist, and which was produced by Mark Goodson and Bill Todman. They went off and decided to make a game show based on kind of like the end game of Match Game, the poll, like the survey question kind of format.
We asked 100 CEOs.
Okay. So they took that from the Super Match and made that.
Yeah, they made Super Match, and basically that's what Family Feud is. Yeah, right. Like we polled a recent studio audience, and but they did that for Family Feud, and they wanted Richard Dawson to host. And of course, when that kicked off in the summer of '76, it was an instant. It was an instant hit. But he decided to. Oh, not decided to. He still was contractually obligated to appear on Match Game. And he became less enchanted with Match Game as the years went on.
You can tell, too, when you watch those episodes, like he could just give a damn being on there sometimes.
He was getting more and more frustrated. And then at the end of his run on 78, Match Game 78, that's when the producers, because they felt he was a little too popular, that during the super match, the contestants would have to choose which celebrity they wanted to go head-to-head with. They always chose
Richard.
Because he was the best contestant matcher. He was always on the same wavelength and would win the most money for contestants. And the other panelists like Charles Nelson Riley and Brett Summers, who's this guy? He's trying to steal my thunder. The producer said, well, okay, to make it fair, let's introduce the Star Wheel.
Which I love.
The Star Wheel was a nice addition, I guess, because it made it more randomized as to whom you would go head-to-head with at the end of the super match. So instead of choosing Richard Dawson right out, you'd have to hopefully land on Richard Dawson, which a lot of contestants
and
did.
So. And how.
And Richard Dawson saw that as a smack to his face. He was like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. He was already kind of bitter with the show.
Was that one of the shows that would film a week worth at once?
Yes.
And the Thursday and Friday episodes after the lunch break were always...
The liquid lunch break were a little bit more randy than... Yeah, now they just drink on the show.
Now they drink on the show, which is kind of cool.
Right. So then he went on to host Family Feud until 84. By the way, you're talking about his proclivity towards kissing women. It landed him a wife. He met his future wife as a contestant on Family Feud.
Really?
Yeah, I forget her name.
Right after he kissed her mother and sister going down the row or panel.
Pretty much.
All right.
No, yeah, she was like the second in line on the panel. I think her mother was the head of the...
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
but but yeah, he hooked up and they had a family and I guess they were happy. I don't know.
It's funny because my boys have watched a lot of Family Feud till recently. It's not really a kid show, but it's funny because I remember recently, and I'm dead serious. It was something like, what do you call it at the end where you just have the two of them come out?
The Fast Money.
The Fast Money.
Yeah.
The first person, I want to say, walked away and had like $198 on the board, and all
You have to get 200.
right, and it's like the other person. It was like, name a fruit.
Door.
You know? Right? And the boys and we
A ghost.
Oh, I'm good. Thank you, Joey. I'm trying to think. I almost want to call him downstairs and ask, what was the episode that we kept watching over and over? That we kept. I almost said TiVo. We kept on like the recorder thing. But I remember one time the person, all kidding aside, needed less than like 15 points and didn't get it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, okay, why did you think he'd be one of the two people? How dumb are you? Like, if you're one of the three people in the family who didn't get picked and you're like, dude, seriously? And if he's that dumb, have a good fur, but to come out there and see like it was 185, 186 on the board.
Yeah, right. Or to see 198 and go, I think I got this.
Yeah.
And then sadly, no. One of the funnier Fast Money clips you can find on YouTube with Richard Dawson is when a woman is doing Fast Money and he asks, name the month in which a woman starts to appear pregnant. And the woman says September. and he goes, okay. And then he can't, and then he starts laughing. And then he keeps laughing. And then they stop the clock. And then he's laughing for like 3 minutes. And then it's like, okay, dear, I'm sorry, love. But that was just okay. And then he starts to read another question. He goes, name something. And he's like, then he falls to his knees and he's like, September.
I gotta see that.
Yeah.
It was, I think, Steve Harvey goosed Shaq. I think that's what it was. The boys thought was the greatest thing they see on the history of television when he was out. It was a celebrity NBA thing. Okay, so I think I'd asked, but I don't think we got to it. Game show that you would like to see rebooted.
Rodney?
Ooh, man. You know what? Scrabble.
Yes.
I would love them to bring back Scrabble.
Right.
I just love that type of game, and Chuck Woolery.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, obviously, but
Yeah, he was a congenial host,
right?
And they kind of like you'd like to have a beer with him.
Yeah, he's from the South, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a Memphis guy, I think.
And that game was kind of cool. Like especially we're gonna work off of Temple 7 letters.
Yep.
And
we're gonna
the clue.
Yeah, we're building off the E in Temple, right? And it would be like one of those kind of pun clues.
Yeah.
Like it gets under your skin. It gets under your skin, and then the answer would be
Mother-in-law.
Right. It's a long one.
Oh,
But I think there's rights issues with Scrabble. That's the thing, is that because it was based on the Sideshow and Writer at the time, but then Parker Brothers bought it, and now it's owned by Hasbro.
Wow.
And Hasbro, speaking of game shows, brought they in the late 2000s or early 2010s on one of these like offshoot networks I think they had their own network for a time, and they brought back they had like game show versions of their board games.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was like I think it was called Family Game Night was one of the game shows. Maybe that's the only game show.
Oh, I forgot who the host was.
Yeah.
Oh my
Was it
goodness.
Todd Newton maybe? Yeah, Todd
Newton.
Yeah.
I think it was Todd Newton.
Yeah, Todd Newton was the host of Family Game Night.
Yeah.
And it was like they would have like giant versions of like Boggle or something.
Boggle, yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of Double Dare-ish, but it was like oversized like sorry pieces and stuff. So that was fun. But I think they own Scrabble now. So that's. What about speaking of other game shows? How about Sale of the Century?
Oh, Jim Perry.
Yeah, it was kind of a boring
The
show.
Fame game.
Yeah, right. Let's go to the board.
see, so I'm so glad that you're here, Rodney, because sometimes when Joe references shows like that, I'm like, is he just making this up? Were these game shows in your head that you had the host and the whole backstory too? But now that you're actually
Corroborating
referencing the same shows, I'm like, okay, all right, they did exist.
They do rerun Sale of the Century on Buzzer now, but then they briefly brought it back as a game called Temptation, which was like it aired like in Boston at like 1 a.m. It was like one of these late 2000s weirdo
Like
type.
on my TV.
Yeah.
But
But it was one of these game shows where it wasn't a big money payoff. It was like it would always build up suspense, where you'd get to the end game, which was always kind of a letdown. But then they wouldn't award you like a cash award or whatever right away. It's like, now, do you want to take the prizes you've won thus far, or do you want to hold out and go for the big money in the next episode? And they would drag it out, and then they would go to commercial while the person makes their decision. It was always kind of a letdown. So the game itself, like the lightning round, was probably
I loved it.
Yeah,
because it was so intense.
They had 60 seconds
on the clock.
Yeah, 3 contestants at podiums buzzing in on like general knowledge questions. And yeah, that was really fun. But then the whole point of Sale of the Century was that you'd answer trivia questions by buzzing in, and you'd earn like $5 to $10, whatever. And then they'd stop the game cold, and then you'd have to go to the stage where they would offer like a magnificent trip to someplace for just $10. And then, but then it would be almost like, let's make a deal, because you would be like, you're in the lead, you have 30 points, and we can send you to Italy for just $10. How about 8, 7, and then and 7, and I'll throw in $1,000.
Yeah, and that's what usually would get them, with the extra money from the side.
Yeah, one of the best, maybe not my favorite, but one of the best reboots is The Joker's Wild. That with Snoop Dogg as the host.
Yes.
How do you? Yeah, I was gonna ask. You know what's so funny? I was thinking about that on the way here. How do you like it?
It's fantastic.
It's cool because it has that little spin with Snoop Dogg, obviously.
Yeah,
but it still has the same elements as the original.
The game flows just like the original does. It has like the quirkiness with Snoop Dogg. It has the weed puns and stuff. He had this category on called Gin and Jews, where he would have to read cold. They did not, because he didn't rehearse anything.
Right.
He would read cold like Yiddish words. Now would I be Meshuggah, but then he'd have on like pre-tape segments with him and like Julian Edelman as like his Jewish friend. But the actual like game itself plays awesome. The bonus round is fantastic.
I love it because they brought back the devil.
Yeah, you brought back basically you spin for you try to avoid the devil by spinning the wheels of the slot machine and trying to get to, I think, $1,000.
Yeah,
I think this time it's like 10,000.
10,000 now. Yeah.
And they have that same mechanic where you're building up a bank,
right?
And he gives you the option to walk away, and he'll pull out the wads of cash from a box. It's like, all right, partner, he'll be like $7,000. You want, or do you want to go for it? The 50,000, and the crowd's like all 20-something. Real cool.
And they had waitresses in there too.
Yes,
they're selling drinks and everything. I'm like, where was this type of game show?
I know it's a fun ass game show, and so The Joker's Wild is probably the best reboot.
You know what? I definitely have to respect that 100% on that.
Yeah,
it is fun to see that. There's been some times I actually stayed up and watched like 3 or 4 episodes back.
Right, but you have to go to TBS to find it. So it's kind of like And I think they moved it to TNT now. It's like it's bouncing around. Or they're fucking around with it. I don't know, but I hope that gets renewed for another because it's Snoop Dogg. I knew Snoop Dogg was going to be a good host because I'd seen him co-host The Price is Right one episode.
Really?
He did
with Drew Carey?
Yes, he did like a special like celebrity. They did like a celebrity week where during the show they'd have like a special guest co-host that would pop out every now and then. And he came out. Snoop Dogg, this is like the first time you'd see him on a game show. Like, Snoop on a game show? What the fuck's this? What Twilight Zone episode is this?
What's this? It's awesome.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Was. And he comes out and he's into it. Like, he is hosting the fucking showcase. Like, he is selling it. Like, he's got the inflection. It's like, how about a new car? Like, he's like way into it. Like, he is not the Snoop that you thought you knew. And I was like, oh, okay, he could pull this off. And I think he does.
Oh, yeah.
More? You want to talk more about game shows?
Is Shazam, that game show Shazam, a ripoff of Name That Tune?
Oh, Beat Shazam?
Yeah, because I loved Name That Tune. That was one of my jams as a kid.
Oh, wow, Jim Lang.
Yeah, Jim Lang with Name That. But they'd have a live orchestra. Like, that's how old school Name That Tune was.
I can get that song in 5 notes.
Well, I can get it in 4. Well, you name that tune, motherfucker. And then it'll be like, the guy on the piano going, ding, ding, ding.
The theme song for Lassie.
Yes.
The second season, because on the first season.
Yeah, but then they had like the live orchestra. Then they also had like a double wheel. Remember they
Oh,
had a,
yes.
they had a money wheel,
Yeah.
and then a category wheel.
reel.
Yeah. And then whatever that crossed
Oh,
over.
man, yeah.
And that was a flashy show. What about Bullseye? Remember that?
Oh, Bullseye.
Yeah.
Yep. With the lightning.
Yeah,
the lightning.
I'm just going off on tangents here. But is Beat Shazam?
You would like that. You would like Bullseye, I would think.
What's the premise?
Oh, man. It's been a minute.
It's a
Are they large-breasted women? Because when you
it's
point at me and
almost-
say you
it's
like
almost
that,
kinda
I'm
like-
thinking, yeah, it's
It feels like
large-breasted
it's
women.
kind of like in the same premise, almost as like the Joker's Wild, kind of like. They would
yeah,
have
or Tic Tac Toe.
the subject.
They would have a
the
category.
the cash price, and how many questions.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, there were 3 circles,
Yeah.
and you have to hit a plunger.
Yeah.
Each circle was like a projection screen kind of thing, and it would have like these it was swirls, and then it would.
It was kind of trippy.
It was kind of trippy.
It was kind of trippy.
But yeah, it was a little convoluted. But I think the display of Bullseye was more fun than the actual
Right.
game.
Right.
Tic Tac Toe was the Wink Martindale classic. But Beat Shazam, I've not seen Beat Shazam. But I know it's the Jamie Foxx produced show.
And
Did he
you're-
host it?
You're not an HQ guy either, are you?
No.
Are you an HQ guy?
The app?
No, I should get into it because I know a lot of people that love that game.
So it's interesting because the wife likes it, and sometimes they have fun hosts, and sometimes there's fun categories. Sometimes they'll have $100,000 prize and only one winner, and they'll keep asking questions, and it will start with 1 million people. You know what I mean? The other night, though, oh God, it was it was one of those ones where I know all these questions. It was kind of a simple thing. And I want to say like 13,000 people split like 40,000, whatever it came out to, each one won $13.
yeah.
Or maybe 37 cents. Maybe it was actually, I have to ask management. But it was like there's sometimes like you win it and it's like you're splitting between 3 people like $100,000. And then this time, but it's still pretty huge. I mean, we have it on our smart TV, like the app for it. She has it on the phone and stuff. Is that a game show?
Yeah.
I
Of
would
course.
say
Yeah.
qualify for it.
And the guy, Radowski, I think is his name, Scott Radowski, if I'm saying it right. I've seen him pop up in more things now. And sometimes he'll plug he's a touring comedian and stuff like
wow.
that. It's like, yeah, now that's what
It's
I'm
not a bad side gig.
Well,
actually.
that's what I was actually talking about earlier. It's like, it's nice that he wasn't a celebrity. I mean, they have lots of celebrities will come and do it different days. And it's fun to hear if somebody's doing a big, like The Rock did it a few weeks ago and stuff. And that's cool. But here's this guy who, touring comedian, a C-list person. He's been on a couple of shows here and there, but now he's becoming a celebrity host, and he's great at it. I mean, it is, it's really fun. It's very, wife likes it because it's all puns,
Right.
It's all tongue in cheek stuff. When he introduces like the category, he'll go off and his little introduction every time. It's hysterical, but I like that he's becoming a celebrity because he's hosting. He's not a celebrity who. Because Alec Baldwin needed the money.
Right. Well,
Chico.
Chico
He's the
needed
one.
The money. Alec Baldwin, when he first started, he gave the money to charity, his Alec Baldwin Foundation.
That stripper. Charity.
Hey now.
Hey now. What else? There's GSN is still producing original game shows as well. I don't watch GSN as much.
Yeah, I don't watch it as much. I don't see many
Game Show Network?
shows
Yeah.
that are.
They're not really appealing.
appealing.
Yeah, I mean they had they have one game show that I kind of like. It's called Idiot Test.
Yep.
Idiot Test is like it's hosted by another comedian. These are like you want to look for game shows with non-celebrity hosts. Go to the Game Show
Go on the
Network.
Game Show Network. Yep.
But Idiot Test is a fun game. I don't know if they still make it. I think it's still on the air and they make new episodes. But it's you and a friend go up against. I think it's like two partners.
Two partners. Yep.
And you're at this like table, and it's like a touchscreen table, and it'll show like a scene and say like it'll be like how many squares are in this thing, and it's one of those brain teasers.
Yeah. Right.
Where it's like, oh yeah, there's only 3 squares, and it's like, oh no, the entire board is itself as a square, so there's 4 squares. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where if you're a nerd like me, you appreciate, but if you're like Jacques, you're like, I'm too cool for this, man. I'm gonna go kill some zombies.
Guess that's cool.
It is really cool.
You know.
Oh,
What?
Cash Cab.
Oh, right. Remember
Cash
Cash
Cab.
That's
That's
still
a good
going
one.
on,
That's
right?
still going on.
Oh,
Well,
really?
I think they're on Discovery Channel. I could be
Did they
wrong.
reboot it?
They rebooted it.
Okay.
With Ben Bailey.
Okay.
Yep.
That's a fun idea.
That, you know what? That was a cool inception. Hey, let's drive around New York and we'll pick up some random people
strangers.
and hey, have them win some money.
And they can sign the waiver afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I mean, that is. I never really watched.
And
Cash
did he
Cab.
have to have a New York City hack license? Did they have to go through the whole?
I think so.
That's
Right?
gotta be a good question.
Yeah, right. Because
would assume
otherwise,
so.
otherwise it's called abduction. Yeah, it's kidnapping.
Right. Oh man. Now, so Buzzard is the other. There's two game show channels.
So GSN is Game Show Network. That was started in the 90s. They show some old, like they still show old pyramid shows and Match Game.
Match Game. Car
But
Sharks.
Buzzer is exclusively, it's owned by Fremantle, which had absorbed all of the Goodson Todman game shows. And they're behind the reboot. So basically, Buzzer is essentially like them testing the audience for these reboots. They started Buzzer as an over-the-air rerun channel. They put up Match Game reruns. They put up all these old shows and said, and probably saw that there was an actual interest in people watching these old game shows. Oh, let's bring them back to ABC and make real money. So yeah, Buzzer is like all the old. I think it's only Goodson Todman game shows because they have Concentration. They have
Right.
they even have like What's My Line.
Oh wow.
They have To Tell the Truth. The black and white shows, admittedly, I'm not that into. It's
Me either.
50s. Yeah, it's a little. It's before my time. Even Tattletales, I'm not that. Although it's weird to see like Bill Shatner and his wife, battling it out against. Who else was that? You have like Mort Saul or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm pulling names out of my ass.
They had I saw one episode when they had Mr. Drummond and his wife.
Oh, wow. Conrad Bain.
Conrad Bain. Yep.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And who knew?
So, in our sad lifetimes, what is the biggest game show phenomena? What happened? Because I remember when Millionaire started, that became stop whatever the fuck you're doing and watch us now.
Yeah.
And for a couple years, it was like gripping.
That debuted in 99, right? I want to say 99. And it
Say 99, 2000?
yeah, and I think it was one of those shows that just came out of nowhere. It's like, oh, by the way, we're doing a 5-night thing with this game, so watch it. And it was on prime time.
Right.
Game shows were dead. Like there was, unless you had Game Show Network on your cable system, you were not watching game shows or The Price is Right. Like that was it. You watch Price is Right, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy. Those are your fucking game shows. Take it or leave it. It's the 90s. Fuck you if you like game shows. And then, yeah, in the late 90s, this phenomenon comes out from across the pond called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And Regis Philbin is the host. All right, I like him with the Kathy Lee. Let's give this a shot. And man, oh man,
They struck gold.
It
with that show.
did it hit? Yeah, I think that's probably the most phenomenal game show moment in our lifetime.
Right.
Yeah, because it rebirthed game shows in prime time.
Right.
And an interest in game shows in general. That people were like, oh yeah, quiz shows are fun. Like they can be and
it brought a lot of spin-offs, like well, not spin-offs, but other
Knockoffs.
shows that came out.
But
One versus 100.
yeah, one versus 100.
What was that? I see him, the Howie Mandel one.
Deal or No Deal.
Did you like that?
I wasn't a big fan of it, although when they brought it back for the recent run on CNBC, well, the first episode they were on NBC, and then they brought it back for CNBC. I kind of got into it for like a couple of days because I got the drama, like I appreciated it more because there's literally no skill. It's
Right.
None.
It's luck.
It's all luck,
All luck.
and it's all about greed and how far you're gonna go. Like we're gonna give you somebody who makes probably, I'm guessing, $50,000 a year. We're gonna give you $50,000 just for coming here.
Yeah.
Or do you want to hold out for the million?
Right.
It's like and I'd hear Howie Mandel in interviews talking about my whole goal is to get them to get the fuck out of Dodge as fast as possible. Like you're a nobody. not like to belittle these people. It's like you're not somebody who's going to be making $1 million.
Right.
You know, this is your chance. Like, don't throw away $250,000 to hold out for $1 million.
You're not going to make another 250,000. This isn't happening again.
Yeah.
You're not coming back.
Yeah. And like the first episode, I think maybe it was the second episode of the reboot. It was a crushing thing. Like the guy had like $500,000. He had an offer for $500. It was something outrageous, like $500,000. And all that was left was like the 5 cent and the million or something like that. And guess which one he got?
Which one did he get?
Yeah, he didn't get the million one.
Ooh.
He went for the final deal, and
Yeah, but that wasn't the only time he was on TV though. Like the next day, he was.
oh yeah, he was brought up on charges.
Right? Exactly.
Was it?
No.
But I was going to
Really?
say he drove off the crank gang. You know,
Yeah,
something like-
right, exactly.
The
No,
former contestant is now outside of Walmart.
I know.
So we're not going to do the so worn down hacky like your Mount Rushmore of host because it's so cliche and tired. But Rodney, who are your 4 favorite game show hosts?
No pressure, huh? My goodness.
If you were to put them on a giant monument,
Oh,
Yeah, let's just say, and someplace like out of the way that not everybody had to deal with every day. Like let's say like North Dakota.
or South Dakota.
Is there a difference? So I always confuse South Canada with South Dakota because I think North Dakota is really South Canada. But in South Dakota, let's just hypothetically say you had to pick 4.
Oh man. Let's see. Gene Rayburn.
Yes.
Most definitely is up there. Mm-hmm. No was one that I know we didn't even bring up, but I enjoyed him when he hosted Hollywood Squares. John Davidson.
Oh, the '80s version.
Yeah,
What
the 80s
about
version.
What about Peter Marshall from the '70s?
Oh, 70s version. Peter
Yeah.
Marshall and Tom Bergeron.
Tom Bergeron from
You
the
know?
'90s. Yeah.
You know, local guy.
Mm-hmm.
Good man.
Yes.
But I just loved him in the 80s.
John
You know,
Davidson.
John Davidson hosting that. He
Really?
always had that charisma.
John Davidson.
Shadow Stevens, folks.
Yeah.
Yes. So
So John Davidson,
Yep.
Gene Rayburn.
Jim Perry,
Yep.
still one of my favorite of all time. And also Bill Cullen. Bill Cullen, he's just that nice, good old next door neighbor, you know, and just loved how he treated people. You could just tell that he had that caring side to him. So yeah, those are my 4.
He had a warmth to him. Like as he
Yeah.
got older, he became like the kind of kindly old grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hot potato. Yeah.
Right. Hot Potato was
Yeah.
another game that he had hosted, but Chain Reaction.
Chain reaction.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah. Are you going to ask me the same question?
It's open to the floor. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to say, okay. Bob Barker.
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
Got to go Bob Barker.
Very true.
I'm going to say I would put Bill Cullen up there as well. You know, I do like Gene Rayburn, but there's only 4. So Gene Rayburn, yeah. I mean, he's the man. Like
Yeah.
he was the man, but when he was fired from Match Game, like he literally did nothing else. Like he
Right.
had nowhere else to go.
Was it when it was part of the Match Game Hollywood Squares?
Yes,
Yeah.
that was the nail in the coffin. Hosted by John Bowser Bauman. Remember Bowser from Sha Na Na?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
He was a host.
He was the host.
Wow.
He was a
Yeah.
game show host for a hot minute. And
So we stress the word minute.
yes, maybe not all 60 seconds.
He came back out of the commercial break and he was gone.
I mean, it was a great concept, but
It was not
was
a green
just-
show. It was not.
You didn't
a
like
great-
the concept?
No, it was an abomination. I mean, like honestly, I had not grown up watching it, but looking
Right.
back on it, I'm like, what the heck?
what were they? Yeah, what were they thinking?
Because it's right. It's like, okay, we're gonna now end this game that you all know and love, and then we're gonna grind the gears, and then we're gonna find it to bring you to Hollywood Squares,
And then bring you right back at the
Yeah.
end of a super match.
right? Yeah, it's
To
like,
match game.
Yeah, it was like the
All an hour.
Yeah, it was the chocolate and what doesn't go well with chocolate of game shows,
Nothing.
right?
So
Oh, am I final
Yeah.
slot? So, what did I say?
She said.
Hey now, God, I'm gonna have to say Alex Trebek.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I mean Alex Trebek's up there. Sorry, they're all white guys, but until they give us something different, man. I mean, Nipsey Russell did host.
Your number's up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Your number's up.
Wow,
Yeah.
he goes right into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I knew one of his like limericks. He was a fixture on game shows, especially Match Game.
70s and 80s. Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, they tried a couple of games with him. They gave him Your Number's Up, and I thought one more, and maybe it was just a pilot for a show. But he I don't know. America wasn't ready for him yet. America wasn't ready for him, even though he's been on television for 25 years probably. But yeah, there you go.
I would go because it's tough not to have Alex Trebek on. But honestly, for me, and I had already mentioned it, it's like you never forget your first love, Monty Hall. Like I mean, I literally loved. That was just that was awesome. I'm thinking probably Monty Hall, Bob Barker, probably Richard Dawson. I mean, again, it's like that when I was a kid to this day, those are some of my favorite. Like, I might start watching Buzzer if they start running the old Richard Dawson.
They do.
I'm going to start watching
Actually,
Buzzer.
I was telling Rodney this earlier on Amazon Prime. Buzzer has a bunch of the game shows from the 70s and 80s on Amazon Prime that you can watch old episodes of, including like the Richard Dawson Family Feud or the Ray Combs 80s version of Family Feud if you want that. And then they have like Card Sharks and Pressure Luck episodes up there. So you can get your game shows on demand on Amazon Prime.
So on the next podcast, the next Sideshow we do on game shows, I'll give you a little homework. Your favorite game show moment that you weren't a part of. We'll start with that.
All right, I was on a game show. You don't have to bring it up that I won $60,000 on Wheel of Fortune. Stop it already.
I would be delighted.
You're embarrassing me.
No, but we will. We are coming back in doing more of that. A next topic for discussion is what is your favorite phone app based on an old 70s game show? Because you both probably have 20 games on your phone. But Rodney, seriously, it's so much better. So we know at least, there's one other person who will have heard this podcast this week, and that's you.
Yes.
Making the incredulous drive out here. This is more fun than
this is worth it. This was worth it.
Should
Thank
be.
you guys. Thank you.
But we mean it. You're coming back. In between the 9 sports that you're doing and being the voice of Worcester, we understand the responsibilities.
I will make the time.
You were going to make the Tournament of Champions on Carnival Personnel. What?
Down to him and Peter, I think.
Outstanding.
I'm gonna ask you. This is a request hour on Carnival Personnel Sideshow. What game show theme song do you want to go out on? Because I'll just pull it up.
What game show theme song?
I mean, Joker's Wild is awesome. You got
Yep.
Tic Tac Toe, which was groovy. Blockbusters was okay.
If you have Card Sharks.
Oh yeah.
Yes. The 80s version, though, not the 90s.
Oh,
version of Bobby Banks.
Nice.
All right, let's see if I can bring this up. Hold on.
All the memories.
This has been Carnival Personnel Sideshow with your host, Joseph Laredo and Jacques, and our special guest, Rodney. And it's
Yes, and Rodney, thanks for coming out.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Jacques, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. And those of you at home, please don't forget.